Hey everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today I want to talk about Elder Dragon Highlander. For those of you that don't know, Elder Dragon Highlander, EDH, now called Commander, was actually named for these 5 creatures. In Legends, they gave us 5 Elder Dragon Legends. They were supposed to be bigger, stronger, more powerful, older dragons than all the rest in the multiverse, or at least in Dominar at the time. And these 5 Elder Dragons, they were all 3 colors. They all had a upkeep cost of one of each of the colors that they were. I won't get into the history of EDH. That's a whole nother podcast in general. But what this is my Vaevictis Asmadi deck. Now, I chose Vaevictis Asmadi simply because he does not get a lot of love. I'm sure everybody is familiar with at least one of the original Elder Dragons, Nicol Bolas. He has actually become a very powerful force in Magic storytelling and gameplay. But Vaevictis Asmadi has just about faded into obscurity. Now, Chronicles gave us reprints of all of them, so they are in this beautiful, glorious white border. So I wanted to build Vaevictis Asmadi, and as you can see, he's a 7/7 flyer for 8 mana. You got to spend 3 in your upkeep, just keep him around. And he has what I'm going to call triple fire breathing. He has fire breathing for black, red, and green. So with that in mind, the first place I went to was the double your mana lands, or the double your mana the cards. Obviously, we've got Mana Flare, the original double mana, and then we've got, of course, the Keeper of Progenitus. He only doubles 2 of yours. He doubles white also, which we don't really care about. That guy, not a lot of people know about this guy. He's 5 mana, but he's a 7/5 Mana Flare. So, that's pretty good. Of course, we have the Dictate of Karametra, which is a flash flare, if you will. And then, of course, the card that I apparently can't seem to build green decks without, Zendikar Resurgent. Now, one thing that I did was I kind of leaned to Vaevictis. There's several different ways you can go with this. He's what they call now Jund. I ask people what colors their decks are, what they're playing, and they say Jund, and I don't understand that sometimes because I don't know about y'all, but I didn't get a Jund crayon in my Crayola box. Anyway, Vaevictis Asmadi, I figured, yes, we need to mass produce mana, but I also wanted to do a kind of a smaller theme, and I really like gold. And Vaevictis seems like he'd be the guy to love the gold. So mainly what I did with the creatures was a lot of gold cards. Tried to do a lot with the dragons as well, simply because he is a dragon, and these new, whenever a dragon attacks, do something. Of course, we've got the Kalagon, and then we've got Atarka, giving your fire-breathing dragon double strike. It's pretty good for this little 50-cent card. I don't know why. I guess because it's so mass-produced. But the Kalagon, also really good. Now, Hellkite Overlord, simply because we're talking, he's an 8/8. Yeah, 8 mana, so what? Our general's 8 mana. We're not scared of big mana cards. But 8 mana. Another thing that I would like to introduce is, since we are gold, a lot of people don't know about this card right here. Urza's Filter. Back from Invasion. Multicolor spells cost 2 less to play. Once I decided to go gold, this was kind of where I went to. Now, I'm not solid gold. I've got some cards that are monocolored in here, but I felt like those mana doubling cards, I felt like those were cards that I just had to do. Like Urza's Filter. Now, obviously, monocolor creature deck, Urza's Filter was the right call. Here's a card I'm surprised that has not seen print in a dual deck conspiracy, some kind of supplemental set. Would have been really bossing like Return to Ravnica. It probably would have been a little too powerful then. If they bring it back, I think they'll probably make it a rare. But Dragon Arch, 5 to cast, 2 to use. At instant speed, you're going to drop a multicolor creature from your hand into play, which is really good. I've seen people do some remarkable blocking shenanigans with Progenitus with this thing. But Dragon Arch is an amazing card. You can build around it. It becomes just a powerhouse in your deck. Like, say, I don't know, let's look at some of these creatures here. What would be really cool to drop out there if somebody is swinging? I don't know, everything. I mean, we've got Kresh. Now, granted, Kresh is not a dragon, don't get me wrong, but he's still a good, what is that, 5 mana. Whenever another creature is put into a graveyard from play, he gets that many +1/+1 counters. Wow. Of course, Master of Cruelties, setting somebody at 1 life is good. Defiler of Souls. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a monocolored creature. Here again, kind of works in our favor with the whole gold theme. Multicolor all the way. Vulture Zombie is just sick. I'm glad they're printing this guy every chance they get because, more of this card needs to be out there. To an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on him. I know blue's not in our wheelhouse with this deck, but this makes Traumatize a broken card. Now, Zendikar Incarnate. Here's a card I don't think gets enough love in EDH. Star 4. Power and toughness equal the number of lands that you control. Pretty good. It's really good late game. Hey, this would be a great guy to drop out there for the 2 mana off of the Dragon Arch. Especially if you're being attacked by dragons or if somebody just goes crazy with a Sarkhan or whatever. The ability to instant speed drop a Karthus and just instantly gain control of all dragons. And then dragons gain haste, which, really cool with a dragon general. We have Daragaz. I do apologize. I bought the original Commander set when they came out in 2011. I bought the set in Japanese. All 5 of the decks they were Japanese. Thought it was cool, but things like Daragaz, we know what they do. But then I had to learn things like Collective Voyage. Now the Collective Voyage is outstanding. It is a 1 mana sorcery. It has Join Forces, which means everybody at the table can dump mana into it, starting with you. Now, however much mana gets dumped into it, everybody at the table searches for that many basic lands and puts them on, or that many lands and puts them on the battlefield. That's crazy. I mean, even last week, my local play group, we were playing, and I think on turn 3, a player cast Collective Voyage, and we all ended up getting, because the early turns you're not doing much anyway. I think on turn 3 we all got 10 lands, put them into play. Now, yes, speeds up the whole table, but hey, I like Collected Voyage with things like Anka Mishra, that it deals 2 damage to each person when they put a land in play. I think that's cutesy and funny, but that's just me. Let's go with Malfegor. Here again, I don't think Malfegor gets a lot of love simply because he takes your hand. Now, he does make each opponent sacrifices a creature for each card you got to discard when you cast him. He is 6 mana, 6/6 flyer. More times than not, you'll be banking lands or what have you. Here's another good. Now, obviously, you don't want to Hydra out with your Dragon Arch because, X equals 0 and all, but a double strike Hydra is... Double strike, that's really good on an X power creature. Now, Rakdos here, a lot of these are legendary creatures that are, above and beyond, that have their own decks anyway, but this is kind of a... I don't think there's enough to have a Heroes Podium in here or anything, but the Lord of Riots here is... he's a 4-mana 6/6 flying trample. Yeah, you got to deal damage first, but, that's kind of not a problem. And the ability to have stuff cost so much cheaper. A good friend of mine has a Rakdos deck where he just starts dumping out free Eldrazi, which is nuts. But anyway, he's a good card. Underworld Cerebus. I was really surprised this card wasn't, played more than it is. Can be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Cards in graveyards can't be targets of spells or abilities, so that screws up a lot of Reanimator type decks. And when it dies, exile it, and each player returns all creature cards from his graveyard to his or her hand. So, I don't know. Kind of looks like Fluffy from Harry Potter, but anyway. He's a big dude, but I don't think anywhere near as cool as the Deathbringer Thoktar, because, he gets counter anytime anything dies, and then he has remove a counter, deal a damage. Seems good. Borbogamos. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on your team. On your team. And he has trample. 6 power, trample, 7 mana. Rockin'. Charnel Horde Worm. Now, here again, 7 mana. We ain't scared of no high casting cost stuff here, are we? Apparently not at all. Whenever it deals combat damage, or no, it just deals damage. You may return it. It regrows. So its damage trigger is a regrowth. Wow, like it a lot. Of course, we got the Karametra's Acolyte because, well, just for the sheer mana ramp, she doesn't kind of fit the theme of the gold, but the mana ramp was just too good not to do. Speaking of mana ramp, as far as gold mana ramp, gold elves. Come on, focus in now. Tap it for a green mana, and every time you tap it for mana, you deal a damage. It's really good to each opponent. So that's what makes it really good, is it deals the damage to each opponent. Of course, Omnath, the Reiji Landfall Omnath, that's just a really, really good, Landfall 5/5 dude, seems good. Gerard and Marin, as I said, a lot of these are really good, outstanding commanders on their own, and people know that. People know that they are. Every single creature that comes out is scary. Every single creature needs to be dealt with so that you don't just have a bullseye on your general's head. Now, of course, I got Vraska here, everybody's favorite Medusa Walker. We don't have a whole lot of just fluff here. We got, Fist of the Demigod, because that makes your general redonkulous. It gives it +1 or +2/+2 first strike and wither. So to whether it gets around that nasty, indestructible stuff. Of course, we have the Putrefy, the Terminate, and this is one not a lot of folks know about. Psychotic Fury. Now, in the right deck, this is a powerhouse card, and I think this is the right deck. 2 mana, draw a card, target multi-color creature gains double strike. That's a good chance of one-shotting somebody with Vaevictis here. Now, we got our... This is just sheerly... Well, that is mana rocks. It's just... you got your Obelisk, Border Post, Hive, all that jazz. Now, the Mage Slayer... The Mage Slayer is... I've always called it quasi-double strike. Because whenever equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power. Just when you declare as an attacker, it happens. Then they have to deal with the attacking creature. So if you've pumped up a crazy amount of mana into Vaevictis and he's a 10 power, they got to deal with that first. And that does alter combat decisions. It does. Most of the time, in your favor. Now we got the spells. I think these are sorceries here. Plague Wind. I love destroying everything that ain't mine. It's beautiful. Y'all have heard me talk about that before. We got Void. Pick a number, any number. Destroy everything of that converted mana cost. Now, it also says, then target player reveals their hand, and you take everything that's in their hand to that cost. So you can really pick on one person. You can wipe the board. FYI, you can choose 0 and wipe out the tokens, but Siphon Mine in EDH, I don't know that card advantage gets any better than this. Takes 1 card out of every opponent's hand, and you draw cards equal to it. Love me some Siphon Mine. It is just... Oh, it's so good. It's all... Because really, not a lot of people will get bent out of shape over discarding 1 card. Now, if you mind twist somebody and they have to discard their hand, they're going to hold a grudge, and then you're going to be a target. But if you make everybody discard 1, that's not as big of a political problem because, hey, I did it to everybody. But then the fact they don't really think about you just threw 5 or 6 cards off of that joker. I've got the Untamed Wilds. A lot of this, I'm trying to use, I guess you've noticed, cards that are just not used a lot. It kind of also fits within Vaevictis Asmadi's theme because he tends to be the forgotten Elder Dragon. And so has Untamed Wilds, I think. It's there are cards that are better than it, for the land fetch, but I really like it. Really like the Virtue's Ruin. Now, a lot of people don't even know this card exists. Destroy all white creatures. This one was from Portal. It was printed in one of those From the Vault deals. I think that may be the only 2 times it's ever been printed. I'm not sure if it was in P3K or what, but it is Virtue's Ruin for 3 mana to destroy all white creatures. That has saved me more times than not. Angels, Soldiers, Pegasus, all kinds of things just go down. All Sun's Dawn. Now, this is a 3-card regrowth for this deck. I run it in a lot of my 5-color decks. I think maybe all of them. I'm not sure. But All Sun's Dawn, for each color, you get to return a card. So it's really, really good. 1 for 3. Here again, it's a regrowth for 3. Now, Rolling Earthquake. Rolling Earthquake is funny. Why am I not playing with just plain Earthquake? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Earthquake don't hit flyers. Flyers can be a problem. Exactly how many creatures have horsemanship? Not that many. Only ones that came from Portal 3 Kingdoms. Now, they were reprinted in some, as I said, some of the From the Vaults or whatnot, but I really like it simply because it's almost just a flat-out X spell. Violent Ultimatum. 3 target permanents. I know some of y'all that had never seen this card before, you're looking at it and you're going, my God, look at that mana cost. That's not as big of a problem as you would think. We got, in Shards of Alara, we got 5 of these. We got 1 for every 3 card shard. And Violent Ultimatum, 3 target permanents. Really, really good. That 7 mana is easier to come up with than you realize. Of course, we got Fire Spout to wipe out the little dudes. We got Hull Breach. Hull Breach is about as good as it gets for artifact removal. I mean, it's targeted. It's really good. Of course, we got Dreadbore, because apparently there's these new things called Planeswalkers that apparently are redonkulous, and Dreadbore is amazing. Gaze of Granite, for when you have to just fire sale everything, or maybe you just have to fire sale tokens or 1-drops or what have you. We have Lavalanche. Now, Lavalanche is another one of those cards that a lot of folks just don't know about. It deals X damage to target player and all their stuff. So, punch you in the face and then kick you while you're down. Essentially, that's what it is. Wow. Enough mana, this can get ridiculous. I look for those cards that fit, but I also try to look for cards that are, because he is so underused, so undervalued, and I think he can play at the big boy table with Bolas. Now, granted, Bolas's colors has got blue in it, so we all know that blue is, of course, probably the most broken deck out there. Talking to you, Joe. But I like Vaevictis. I think he's just as good as his other buddies. I think probably the next Elder Dragon I'll do is probably going to be Chromium. I haven't built those yet, but anyway. That's what I've got for Vaevictis Asmadi. By the way, I can't tell you how much love I have for the deck boxes. These are amazing. It keeps you tokens. It's outstanding. Makes a great, perfect Christmas gift for your Magic playing or, for yourself. Anyway, you can find them down at your local game shop, of course. I can't preach enough how important your LGS is. They're the lifeblood of this game. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have it. Mass market is not enough anymore. You've got to have the brick and mortar store that caters to gamers. That's what we do. You ain't going to find these at Walmart. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Let me know if in the comments below any kind of decks you want to see me cover. I appreciate you watching. But it's time for a shuffle and a cut.